One thing that you've also got to wait and watch is whether with an Aadhar card, it will now be mandatory for your PAN card and filing income tax returns. The Supreme Court today concluded the hearings on the issue and has reserved the judgment. The question is whether ensuring that an Aadhar card becomes mandatory for filing income tax returns will lead to issues of privacy and security being compromised. Take a look at what happened in the Supreme Court today.
Aadhar mandatory for income tax from July 1. Over 5.8 crore PAN cards need to be validated by Aadhar. Petitioners call the government move draconian against human liberty. The right of an individual over his or her body is not absolute. This is what the centre rather provocatively told the Supreme Court on Wednesday, defending its move to make Aadhar mandatory for income tax. Countering the centre and challenging the provisions of the Income Tax Act, Senior Counsel Arvind Aadhar told the top court that any encroachment on human liberty must be resisted and the government's move is draconian in nature. Ever since the IT Act has been amended, the government has vociferously defended its move. The basis of Datta's argument has been that the Parent Aadhar Act is in itself voluntary and the Parliament cannot pass conflicting amendments to make it mandatory. An earlier Supreme Court order also clearly lists the 6 schemes for which Aadhar can be used on a voluntary basis, and the government cannot bypass the orders in such a manner. Calling it a draconian move, Arvind Aadhar, arguing for the petitioners, told the Supreme Court that the step of the government is something which is fundamentally against the concept of human liberty. At the other end was the Centre Attorney General, which made it very clear that the right of individuals over their own body is not absolute, and when the government wants for legitimate aims, it can take that away. As the right to privacy faces a challenge in the Supreme Court with the centre questioning its scope, the government has aggressively expanded the scope of Aadhar. The court will have to decide of linking Aadhar and PAN cards. Even as the right to privacy remains under challenge, what needs to be seen is, will the Supreme Court step in? The verdict is expected before July 1. In New Delhi, Anusha Soni for India Today.
Let me raise a few big questions tonight. Is linking Aadhar to income tax PAN cards quite simply unconstitutional? Are your biometrics really safe in the government's hands? Do citizens have no absolute right on their bodies, as the Attorney General is arguing? Will a mandatory Aadhar lead to a surveillance state? And can linking Aadhar and PAN cards curb black money? Is it simply the duty of every citizen to have an Aadhar card? Two sides to the story, because we want to avoid the multiple windows now that dominate news television. Sucheta Dalal, Managing Editor, Money Life magazine, is someone who believes that it's a bad decision, I'm told, and Sanjay Jain, former Chief Product Manager at UIDAI, believes that it's a positive step. Thank you both very much for joining us. Sucheta Dalal, why is it that you believe so strongly that linking Aadhar to PAN cards and to filing income tax returns is such a bad idea?
You know, Rajdeep, I think we have been against Aadhar much before the linking with PAN cards happened. Okay, I think it has to be a person's voluntary choice. I also think the entire manner in which the government, the previous government, the UPA government and this government have gone about forcing Aadhar down our throats is completely illegal, arbitrary, dishonest. It started as something voluntary. It wasn't passed through Parliament. There are no checks and balances, and they allowed it to proliferate. The BJP government, you know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was opposed to it. There is this famous speech of his which is all over social media. He's done an about turn. There is no explanation for why he's done an about turn.
Because Aadhar may be useful, sorry to intervene, because maybe Aadhar may be useful when you link it to services. Aadhar has also been seen to be useful when you link it to services. Whether those services should extend to income tax returns is the question here.
In what way, Rajdeep? In what way is it useful? Would you want to clarify in what way is it useful?
The government says, for example, in identifying those beneficiaries of various subsidies, it has been very useful to use Aadhaar as part of the so-called jam trinity to ensure targeted subsidies. My point is your argument against Aadhaar about privacy and security concerns involved, that all my data will be out in the public, or is your argument against Aadhaar per se?
My argument is twofold. One is that most sensible countries which have thought this through realize that the minute biometrics are unique when they are on your body. So my fingerprints are unique on me, my iris is unique on me. The minute it goes into a database, it can be misused. And the manner in which it's being enrolled with absolutely no protection whatsoever, it endangers me straight away. Okay? If I lose my biometric password, if I have a password on Google or a phone or an iPhone, you can always change it. But the minute your biometrics is compromised, will UIDAI even tell you what next? Will you be excluded from the system? And the more and more and more this government tries to centralize everything and link it to one database, not only am I fully exposed and interlinked, but the minute my biometrics are compromised, I can be shoved out of the system forever. I as one individual can keep fighting and fighting and fighting. This system doesn't care.
You know, I want to take that to you. Sanjay Jain, respond to that UIDAI and making Aadhaar mandatory in the way the government is doing now may actually compromise me as an individual in various ways. A study conducted by the Bangalore-based think tank Center for Internet and Society reports 13.5 crore Aadhaar accounts have been compromised by government departments, and there is data which is now freely available. Should that data be available so freely, Mr. Jain? Isn't that a concern before making Aadhaar mandatory for income tax returns?
So let's start with that particular report. Now, my view is that report has been completely played out in a way where it has just become such a big buzzword. But if you think about it, government departments have always maintained lists of beneficiaries which they have published for transparency reasons, and these particular lists have always included personal details. And I believe that as a country we have to be more sensitive towards personal data, and this has to go across the system, whether it is the press putting out photocopies or pictures of Aadhar cards on front pages, or whether it is the government departments doing that. And this is a process we have to go through, and the entire country will go through that. This is where the Data Privacy Act is required, and this is where a lot of sensitization has to be done.
Agree there is a problem. You agree because the government in April itself revealed it has blacklisted about 34,000 operators for polluting UIDAI.
The data did not leak from any of the UIDAI's controlled websites.
No, it may not have leaked,
but about this report is that I believe it has been what shall I say, a political act.
But what I want to understand from you, Sanjay Jain,
does a security study.
No, but Sanjay, what is the big advantage
of do no harm?
What is the big advantage, Sanjay, in your view, of linking UIDAI to income tax returns?
Data from the website. They've thrown 135 million people's worth of data in harm's way to achieve that political objective. Now, and this is because of this completely virulent attitude of no Aadhaar that Sucheta is talking about.
No, but
that we are so opposed to Aadhaar, we don't care what harm it does to the rest of the people. We shall go about our agenda and make this happen.
No, Mr. Jain, I'm asking you a question.
No, 1 minute.
Mr. Jain, I'm asking you a question,
sir. He's making an allegation and you're letting it go.
How do they use them in a system to impersonate you?
Mr. Jain, can you answer my question?
There are many protections available.
Mr. Jain, can you answer my question, sir? What is the big advantage you believe in linking Aadhaar to PAN cards to income tax returns? What will happen as a result? What is the big benefit you see? Okay, we're going to try and check Mr. Jain's audio, but Sucheta, there are those who will say that the big advantage, and I'll tell you what was said in the court, is that there are numerous fake PAN cards that are floating around. By linking it to Aadhaar, you will ensure that the fake PAN cards will not exist in the system. So
Rajdeep, the government creates a dubious system. Okay, PAN cards was the only most easily available identification. So you not only allowed, you insisted that people need to get a PAN card because it was so easy. It was the only ID proof that migrant labor had. Okay, there were no questions asked. If you said you are likely to pay tax, you immediately got a PAN card. Now you say there are too many PAN cards and people who are not paying. There is absolutely no. I think if you look at the arguments in the court today, the government has grossly exaggerated data about fakes and duplicates. There are 100 ways in which deduplication can be done without linking it to Aadhaar. First of all, Aadhaar itself, what are you linking? You're linking one bad database to another bad database, because you yourself know that there are Aadhars in the name of Hanuman, there's Aadhars in the name of biryani.
In fact, we are showing at the moment. We are showing, Sucheta, let me intervene.
It is an unverified database.
We are showing at the moment an incident from Madhya Pradesh's Rajgarh, which has been exposed in the last 24 hours by us. 1,800 people given wrong Aadhar cards. All the dates of birth are the same. So on all 1,800 Aadhar cards. So they are, everyone in that village is celebrating their birthday as per Aadhar cards on 1st January. But Sanjay Jain, what is the big advantage of having Aadhaar linked to PAN cards in your view? What will change dramatically?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Jain. What will change dramatically if I link Aadhaar to PAN cards?
Hello?
Mr. Jain, what will change dramatically if Aadhaar is linked to PAN cards and income tax returns? What is the big advantage, sir?
So we have a belief that a lot of people have multiple PAN cards and they're using this as a means of tax avoidance. And the idea with linking the PAN card with Aadhaar is to eliminate PAN cards that are not in the name of real people, and to make sure that nobody gets two PANs. And as a result, that should result in better income tax. And hence, that's exactly what the government has done, is that they believe that this can be used for that purpose, to deduplicate the PAN database.
Okay, so you believe it will result in better income tax compliance. Sucheta Dalal, 30 seconds. Isn't that an important factor that one should look at all?
But Rajdeep, Aadhaar itself is an unverified database. Now you don't have 800 people with the same birthday if it was a verified database. They already have 100 crore people with Aadhaar. Are they going to verify Aadhaar in the first place? If you say you have a pristine database with no mistakes, then you can compare PAN with Aadhaar. But if Aadhaar itself is flawed, it's not even proof of citizenship. God knows who and what kind of people have Aadhaar, because it's been introduced by stealth and through the back door. It is a dubious, unverified database, and you're going to link PAN with that and say we've got something wonderful?
Okay,
it's so bizarre.
Let Sanjay get 30 seconds to respond to that critical, that this is unverified database. I've given this example where in one village 1,800 people are born on the same date in their Aadhaar cards. How can you ensure greater verification? How can you ensure that the data in Aadhaar is error-free?
So the data in Aadhaar is collected through a process by which Aadhaar, actually the UIDAI has relationships with the state governments, which are registrars, who then appoint enrollment agencies to do the enrollment. At every enrollment center, there's actually supposed to be somebody who verifies any documents that are the basis for Aadhaar. And frankly, the fact is that these documents are produced by people and verified out there. Now, there are some cases which have been reported in the past of people coming in with a letter from their
I've just given you a case of 1,800
which
villagers.
have been used as identities.
I've just given you a case of 1,800 villagers that has been exposed in the last 24 hours. Do you believe we should go step by step? Why make it mandatory today? Make it step by step. Make it foolproof, and then you can link it to my IT returns. You can't do it today to me. It was meant to be voluntary. You are now making it mandatory suddenly. Why should me? You are in a way, my data is going out in the public now. Everything about me will be out in the public domain tomorrow because of Aadhaar.
No. The data is not going out in the public because of Aadhaar. I completely disagree with that. The fact is that the data that is going out in the public has gone out from other websites. It has not gone from the UIDAI. There can be data theft, no doubt. There can be a lot of things, but that's not been proved. Nothing has gone out of the UIDAI.
Okay.
The data has gone out from different places, and the data is provided by the residents to the UIDAI, and the same data is provided by residents when they create a PAN. So if they're providing a January 1 date of birth, they're providing it to PAN as well. Now, if there's no way the UIDAI operator can put in a date of birth that the resident is not seeing. There is a screen that the resident sees where the data entry is being done. So the same data is shown to the operator and the resident. So if the data happens to be Jan 1, then it is Jan 1.
Can I just leave it there?
Who am I to say it's not Jan 1?
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Clearly, this is an issue.
Rajdeep, I need to come back on this.
Yes, quickly.
Can I come back on one sentence?
Yes, please do.
Rajdeep, it's not fair. Mr. Jain has done what UIDAI does all the time. He does not know what happened in your Madhya Pradesh case, but he has given you an explanation for why that has happened. The enrollers and the places in which enrollment happens is so shady that you would not even go there to get your enrollment. They have access to your data. They're storing it in pen drives. It's so disingenuous to say that UIDAI doesn't leak, because you've had hundreds of enrollers who have your data who can leak it. And they say that's not our problem because UIDAI doesn't leak. I mean, you know, people have seen even the telephones that they have bought, data has leaked. But that's not their problem because you didn't get an act, you didn't get privacy protection, you have not even told government servants what can go up on a website, you've introduced an act,
Let me leave it there, Sucheta, you've had your...
And now you're saying that, oh yeah, we need a privacy act.
Actually,
let me leave it there. Gentlemen, Sucheta, let me leave it there. Sanjay, my take. Making Aadhaar mandatory for income tax returns raises legitimate concerns over privacy and security issues. Aadhaar was meant to facilitate services as a citizen's right. Making it a duty and linking it to PAN cards may be well-intentioned, but where are the safeguards to ensure a citizen's data will not be misused or leaked? Till then, the courts will be best advised to keep Aadhaar the voluntary identity mechanism it was meant to be.